Hello, everyone. It's great to be with you on Inspirations for Your Life. I'm John C. Morley, your host. Thanks so much for joining in. It is Tuesday. It's January 27th, 2026. And we're talking all about unity versus division, how ego splits friend groups, teams, and communities. I think sometimes, this can be a very big challenge for a lot of people. But I can tell you that this is something a lot of people, don't really understand sometimes. They don't really get, what's going on or, why something's going on. They get stuck, in the lurch. That's probably the best thing I can say to you. I hope that you are all are having a very great week. Success is not something that just happens overnight, guys. Um, it is something that we have to keep thinking about. Um, it's something that we have to keep working toward. All right. Um, that's the most important thing I have to say to you. And so if you don't understand those things, then you're going to be, I'm going to say, very, 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 very lost. All right. Not because you want to be lost, but because, well, you are lost. And so, sometimes uh, we do something, but then we don't always know why we're doing it or what we're doing. And I think that can become, a huge problem for, I'm going to say, a lot of people. All right. A lot of people. And when we think about these things, uh, we get stuck because we don't necessarily understand things like light and fear and where these things are propelling us toward. Hopefully they're motivating us to do something really great. First of all, guys, if this is your very first time joining me on Inspirations for Your Life, I want to take this opportunity to say welcome, and I want to say thank you to you for deciding to watch or just listen to the show. It is really a privilege and a pleasure to be with all of you here tonight on the Inspirations for Your Life show. If you're coming back, of course, guys, I want to say thank you and I want to say welcome back. It is a privilege. And of course, a big pleasure. If you have been here before or not, don't forget to check out BelieveMeAchieve.com. We're talking more about mastering light versus fear, how to move even when you're scared. And I know this can be hard for a lot of people. By the way, if you're thirsty, grab yourself some RO water, a snack, a fruit, some juice. Healthy or not, that's up to you. So welcome back to Inspirations for Your Life. I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, keynote speaker, graduate student, and yes, guys, a passionate, lifelong learner. Today or tonight's conversation is about something every single one of us faces, whether we admit it or not. That's fear, false evidence appearing real. Not the obvious fear, not the horror movie fear, but the quiet fear that delays decisions, softens our voice, and convinces us to wait for a future version of ourselves that somehow never arrives. There's an ancient line that says, "The Lord is my light, whom should I fear?" We're not taking this as theology today. We're taking it as mindset. Light represents clarity, direction, truth, and self-trust. Fear represents uncertainty, imagined danger, and emotional protection. The mechanisms that are often outdated, guys. This episode tonight is about learning how to move forward even while your hands shake. You don't need fear to disappear. You need light to be louder. Fear and the schedule it controls. Fear often hides your calendar, that one thing you kept pushing to the next week. That's not procrastination, guys. That's fear with a planner. Our first point is that one fear that has way too much power over your schedule. You know the one I mean. The one that kind of debilitates you. The one that makes you procrastinate, right? You know what I'm talking about. Number two, Fear doesn't always yell. Sometimes it sounds like maybe next week, maybe tomorrow, maybe another time. And when it's soft and subtle, we think it's okay, but we have to push back a little bit. Intuition versus anxiety. One of the hardest skills to learn is telling intuition from anxiety. Intuition is calm, clear, and steady. Anxiety is loud, urgent, and yes, repetitive. Number three, how to tell the difference between intuition and anxiety. Micro bravery, 10-second decisions that change your month. Naming the fear. When you say I'm just overthinking, what you're often doing or meaning is I'm scared to move. Naming fear takes away its mystery. Number five, why I'm just overthinking is really I'm scared to move. I don't know if I'm going to be okay if I move. Number six, guys, the fear of being seen failing is bigger than the fear of failing. Moving with fear, courage isn't confidence. Courage is action in the presence of fear. I think that's something a lot of people miss. Number seven, yes, I admit I'm nervous, but I'm doing it anyway, right? Fear the fear that you have and do it anyway. Number eight, show your hands shaking while you do the thing anyway. Where fear hides, fear often runs. Three areas quietly: money, love, and visibility. Number nine, guys, three areas where fear secretly runs your life. It's important to understand them and know that we should not be afraid of any of them. Number 10, guys, why your nervous system thinks new opportunities are threats. It's pretty easy. The nervous system is designed to keep us alive, right? The fight or flight mechanism. And when something comes in that seems different or uncomfortable, our nervous system fights back to try to protect us, right? Survival. Guidance over fearlessness. You don't need to be fearless. You need to be guided by values, clarity, and intention every single day. Not just one day, not just one moment, not just for even one thing. You have to do it consistently. Number 11, you don't need to be fearless. You need to be guided. And I think sometimes when we think about that whole notion, people get a little bit confused. They get a little bit, how can I say, lost. Number 12, how to build a courage routine for days you want to hide. I know sometimes you might say, gee, I can't get on stage, or I can't present, or I can't face that person. I can't face that client. I can't face that friend. I can't face that situation. You're stronger than you think. And realize that fear is just false evidence appearing real. And what it's doing is it's getting you to procrastinate, and it's doing a very good job of it. Number 7, social fear. Sometimes fear isn't internal. It's reinforced externally. And this is the 7th major, let's say, tetron. It's not the point, but it's the tetron of what we're working toward. Number 13, the friend who feeds your fear with be careful energy. Fear disguises itself as perfectionism. I know. I've been through it. And I'll say what I've said many times before. Done is better than perfect. I know we all want it to be done just perfectly, so correctly. But again, done is better than perfect. We can always go back and do it again and again. The next level, growth rarely feels safe. It feels unfamiliar, but right to us. And sometimes we need a little bit of a break. Your next level won't feel safe. It will feel uncomfortable, but right. Negotiating with fear like an overprotective parent. I think that's an important one. Identity shifts. One day you walk into a room you feared and realize you belong. And that might be something that actually wakes up not just you, but your entire nervous system and how you approach and deal with life. Number 17, point of view. You belong now. One breathing trick for hard conversations. You belong. You deserve to be here. It's not a privilege. It is your right to be here. That's hard for a lot of people to grasp. After action, courage doesn't end when the action is done. You have to keep keeping on. It's that victory that we have that propels us forward and gives us the energy to act again and again and again. Number 19, guys, handling post-action shame. Maybe you've done something, you're not proud of it. The best way to handle this is to do what is right. To do what's right, even when no one else is watching. I've said this many, many, many times in the past. Do it when no one else is watching, not just when they're watching. That's important. That's what builds the character within us. Number 20, guys. Rejection is proof you're in the arena. So why are you giving up? Why are you saying, I'm not good enough? Why are you doing all these, I'm not, when really you are. Start to believe in yourself, and you'll see how much it changes you. Flipping the script. What if it actually works? I'm here to tell you, it does. Many times people play devil's advocate. Why not reverse that and actually play in a way that works out? Start imagining things working out. Instead of things not working, start imagining things actually working out. Number 21, flip the script. Flip the anxiety script. When you're so nervous and you can't breathe or you can't hold something, that's your nervousness in action. Take a deep breath. Relax. It's going to be okay, I promise. Why growth feels like danger to the body? Here's why. It's protecting itself. It's fight or flight. And the body doesn't like to get involved with things that are, well, uncomfortable. You guys before, it's in the uncomfortability that success actually lies. In the uncomfortability, that's where success lies. Today, I'm talking about every single day of your life. That is where success lies. Okay? And that's important to know. Language matters, guys. Words shape fear. I'll give you an example. Attorneys use words to shape fear. Now, you might be saying to me, John, that's crazy. Well, I'm going to tell you that it's not crazy. It is actually the truth. So how do attorneys, let's just say, if we had to ask ourselves this very, very important question, how do attorneys use words to create fear? How do they do that? Does anybody know? It's a very interesting skill they have. Now, the skill may not always be ethical, but they use language in a very distinct and deliberate way to create pressure, urgency, or perceived risks. Sometimes to protect the client, sometimes to push the other side toward compliance or settlement. And the most common way, legal language creates fear, explained really basically. An ambiguous threat. Lawyers rarely say, we will do X. Instead, they write things like, we're evaluating all available legal remedies. This matter may result in further action. Failure to respond could have consequences. Your brain fills in the worst case scenario. Formal authoritative tone, passive voice, long sentences, complex structure that boggles our mind. Something serious is happening and I'm already behind. Time is of the essence. Immediate attention required. Respond within 10 days. Urgency increases anxiety and reduces critical thinking power. Words like liability, exposure, breach, damages, sanctions, they don't really sound too good, do they? But they get us to act. Attorneys often outline things like maximum penalties, hypothetical outcomes, the most extreme interpretation of events. Authority signaling, things like case citations, statutes of limitations, letterhead, CCing parties. We have power, precedent, and backup. They also use silence. After sending a heavy letter, lawyers often go quiet. Rumination, assumption, escalating anxiety. Conditional language like, if this matter is not resolved, absent a satisfactory response. They'll tie consequences to your personality. You may be held responsible. Your actions expose you to. Maybe strategic uncertainty. They don't clarify things. What action they'll take, what they'll take it to, how strong their case is. Legal language is often performative, not predictive. Many scary letters are opening positions, negotiation tactics, designed to provoke response, not litigation. Most attorneys don't want to go to court. They want to settle. And that's important to understand. Don't respond emotionally or immediately. Take the time. Get a neutral explanation if needed. Separate possibility from probability. Read for what is actually stated, not implied. And I think understanding that a lot of it is legal jargon, and it scares a lot of people, I'll be honest with you. Words in the legal arena, they create fear. They also do another thing. They remove the attorney and their client or their corporation from even having the possibility that they're responsible. A lot of times they settle and they say by settling, we're not admitting guilt. So what the heck are they doing? It's very interesting. 3 fear sentences to stop using. I've given you a lot. But if you don't do this, I will. If this matter is not resolved by X, you don't want to say, I'll take you to court. That's a threat. If this matter is not resolved, I'll need to seek other options. Never use court as a threat, because that could be held against you in harassment. Number 24, realizing the person you feared is human. What I found with a lot of attorneys is their bark is very strong behind the telephone or at the bench. But when you come to see them, they're like a puppy dog. It's an act. Staying power sometimes, courage is staying. Number 25, the quiet flex, staying when you want to run, when every bone, every ligament, every part of your body says, get out of here. Number 26, guys, how to self-soothe after hard decisions. Seeing possibility, representation reduces fear. Number 27, seeing someone like you do the thing gets people to respond, gets people to change their perspective. And we said before, perspective is nothing more than what? It is a lens. When we change the lens, everything in our life changes, right? If we change a lens that suddenly has a prism, well, we start seeing prisms. If we change a lens that's black and white, we see the world as black and white. We create the filters and then apply them. And that affects our outcome. Number 28, showing up the day after courage. Courage. I want to divest a minute to Merriam-Webster. And I want to go right to basically their definition of courage. I'm going to take it right from them, so you get this right from the horse's mouth. Courage, it's a noun, mental and moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. A new friend helps her find the courage to talk about her feelings. In the end, when you don't have courage, you kind of lose conviction. When you don't have courage, it's like there's no cement holding the foundation together. When you don't have courage, It's like you're getting a dinner with no food on the plate. When you don't have courage, it's like you don't have a leg to stand on. And these are all proverbial, but I think they hopefully drive the point home. Okay. I think that's an important thing to really realize is how this works. And there's truth in this. There's truth in believing that you have more power than you ever believed was possible. If I gave you the perception and said, you're a great student, guess what happens? You become that. If I say you're a horrible student, then you start living up to that. So labels are bad, but when we use a good label, people want to live up to it. If we use a bad label, they will too. So use labels sparingly. Use labels that are going to make people feel good. Even if they don't fit that label today, maybe they can. Maybe it's a positive attribute like, you're really smart or you're really a great listener. They're going to grow into those characteristics. That's powerful. The closing truth, ladies and gentlemen, you're allowed to be scared and still lead your life. Many people think if you're scared, you can't drive a ship. You can't operate. You can. Number 29, you're allowed to be scared and still be the main character of your life. Just because you're scared doesn't mean you're throwing in the towel. Too many people do because they don't think they have a chance. They don't realize that if they alter their perspective even just a tiny bit, their life could do a complete 180. Number 30, fear has a loud voice. Your future has receipts. What do I mean by that? If we had to think about that for a second. When I say fear has a loud voice and it has receipts, what is the meaning of that? Think about that for a second. Think long and hard. What does that really mean to you? Fear has a loud voice. Your future has receipts. Fear has a loud voice. Your future has receipts. This is what it means. Fear talks nonstop. It's dramatic, urgent, emotional. It says things like, this will go badly. You're not ready. Don't risk it. Fear doesn't whisper. It interrupts. It exaggerates and demands your attention. But it has no receipts. Receipts? Yep. Proof. Facts. Evidence. You know how things have gone in the past. Go back to those receipts and you can relive them again. Fear usually can't show real data to back it up, but truth can. It relies on what ifs, not what is or what actually happened. Fear shouts possibilities without ever stating a grain of proof. Your future growth and progress have evidence, past wins, skills, resilience, and learning. In other words, fear is noise. Growth is documented. One is emotional, the other is factual. It's an invitation to ask, what proof do I actually have that will fail? What proof do I have that I've handled hard things before? Most of the time, fear talks louder, but your life history is the receipt. If you understand this, then you'll realize that you can draw on these receipts. And I think a lot of us forget that we have these receipts in our lives, that we have this proof that can change us. If you remember, I'll give you an example. When I went on the roller coaster for the very first time, now it's not a big deal. The first time I went on, it was like a big deal because I overcame that fear. Getting on a roller coaster is not a big deal for me anymore. Okay? But the first time, it was like, oh my gosh. Like all these things kept going through my mind. But when I started to let go and I started to enjoy the ride, it was like, wow, why was I being such a stick in the mud? Why was I so fearful? This is actually fun. But to have fun, you need to let go. You need to relax. You need to breathe. You need to soak up the atmosphere. That's powerful, guys. But a lot of people never do it. Why? Because someone else told them it's not a good idea. Or because maybe they read an article or they saw a video about something that was tragic. That doesn't mean you should never try it. Maybe not use that park. But incidents are very far and few between. I think this is the important matter we want to know. Ladies and gentlemen, if this episode resonated even a tiny bit, please share it with someone who needs a little more light today. They'll be so glad that you decided to do this. They may thank you. They may share it with someone else they know. But most importantly, you're going to get them from being unstuck to being movable, enjoying life, and becoming a success. In other words, getting them to thrive instead of just survive. Be sure, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring short form and long form content available 24/7 from your computer and smart devices. That's reels, that's articles, and so much more. This is John C. Morley reminding you courage isn't the absence of fear. It's movement with meaning. Are you ready to start making these changes in your life? I know you are. And I know some of you are saying, John, but you don't understand my life. I'm not telling you to go for the biggest one. I'm telling you to take a small leap. And when you get comfortable with that small leap, you'll take a bigger leap. And then when you sit back and be like, oh my gosh, I did it. This was an amazing feeling. And I could do it again, and I could do it again, and I could do it again. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of your mind. Please do check out believemeachieve.com. And I know that if you make the choice, your life will become even better one day at a time. Have a good one, everyone, and be well.